Love the Giver, written by MixAddams and read by Eleanor Elizabeth. Summary: Steve is panicking about his first Christmas with Eddie before he realizes he doesn't have to work too hard to make it perfect. Eddie never really celebrated beyond a string of lights around the trailer window and buying a new pair of work gloves for Wayne. His uncle had raised him to appreciate the sentiment of the season, rather than anything else because of their financial situation. Whenever the little string of multicolored lights went up, Eddie felt a surge of happiness, knowing they'd soon be spending more time together on Wayne's nights off, watching their favourite festive movies. Steve had had everything he'd ever wanted for Christmas, but could never really muster any emotional attachment to the holidays. His parents were always too detached for it to ever really mean anything. It was a purely transactional time of year in the Harrington house. Steve would haul decorations out of the attic and dread having to put on the yearly Happy Family act for the sake of the visitors and Christmas cards. Their first Christmas together, Steve doesn't know how to react when early in December, Eddie asks him if they should plan out the movies they'll watch in the run-up to the 25th, or just play it by ear and watch whatever they feel like on the particular day. Why would we plan that? So just decide as we go? Sounds good, but we'll need a system if we disagree. Steve was still lost. The week before Christmas, he was still panicking about buying a gift for Eddie. It had to be perfect, obviously. Years of buying perfect gifts that ended up being criticised for being too big or too small or the wrong colour or why would I want something like this, Stephen, had skewed his confidence. He was driving himself to near panic attack with worry that Eddie would sneer at whatever he bought him, despite knowing that, realistically, he wouldn't. Probably. Fuck. What do you want for Christmas? Steve blurted out one night. They were watching a festive movie that had the Muppets in it. Eddie snuggled in under Steve's arm and lay on the couch. It was a new one that Eddie hadn't seen yet, and he had a dumb smile on his face the whole time, and kept saying how he couldn't wait to show Wayne. Eddie twisted to look up at Steve. Just you, he mumbled, leaning up to plant a kiss on the corner of his worried mouth. Steve followed him back down for another proper kiss. Seriously, though, he said, I'm at a loss, man. Eddie just snuggled deeper under his arm and turned back towards the movie. I am serious, he told him. I've got you, got the Muppets, got a case of beer on the porch. I'm all set. But what if... Steve bit his lip. What if I get you something and you hate it? Eddie paused the movie and looked back to Steve. Is this really worrying you? Asked Eddie. Steve nodded. So, don't buy anything, Eddie said with a shrug. Problem solved. It's not like I need anything. I can't get you nothing, snorted Steve. Eddie's brow furrowed as he thought. Remember when I said I could do with the new cable for my amp? He said simply. That. You can buy that. And what else? Asked Steve, his mind already firing off all the extras he could buy. A new pedal, a whole new amp, another guitar. Eddie kissed him again. Just you, he repeated. All I need is you. Steve tried to protest again, but Eddie cut him off. Stop, come on, listen to me, he said, stroking Steve's cheek. I don't need gifts. I need this, what we're doing now. Just spending time together. Steve relented. Will you write down the type of cable you need? He squeaked. So I don't mess it up. Eddie nodded and told Steve to shush now so that they could watch the movie. Christmas morning came and they exchanged gifts in bed before heading to Wayne's place. Steve nervously handed over a small package wrapped as nicely as he could, containing the cable that Eddie had said that he needed. He had sworn a promise to buy only the cable, and his guts were twisting at the thought of not having several follow-ups. Eddie tore the corner and pulled the cable out, before smiling at Steve and telling him how perfect it was. Now open yours, said Eddie, waving a hand towards the haphazardly wrapped box on Steve's knees. It was a set of 3 blank photo albums. You said you wanted to start getting all your pictures together, Eddie told him. Steve looked down at the albums. He had mentioned it in passing months ago, that he was afraid that the pictures of him and the kids would get damaged just sitting about, and he should start putting them in a collection. There was a page at the start of each album for the date range of the contents, and even a section to name the people who might appear in it. Steve started to cry. "Oh, God," Eddie said, worried. He hadn't expected this reaction. "This is so thoughtful," Steve sobbed out. Thoughtful gifts were never something he had any experience with. It was all about the cost when he was growing up. It was only a good gift if it cost too much money, and even that wasn't a guarantee that it would be well received. Eddie bundled him into a hug and held him tight as he spluttered out a million thank yous and held the albums close to his chest. When they arrived at the trailer that afternoon, Wayne greeted them both warmly and pushed a small gift bag into Steve's hands. Steve panicked. He had nothing for Wayne. "This is from both of us, by the way," he heard Eddie say. Steve looked up to see that Wayne was holding a brand new coat, the type with fleece lining and a large collar. "You boys are too good to me. This is perfect," said Wayne, who had told them during the summer that his existing coat probably only had one good winter left in it. Eddie grinned as his uncle kissed his forehead. Steve peered into the gift bag he was holding, and his stomach flipped. Socks and boxes. He looked up to see Eddie celebrating over receiving the same things. Something slid into place in Steve's brain. Eddie told him he needed a new cable for his amp. Wayne had told them about his coat. He had told Wayne, jokingly after having some drinks together one night, that Eddie was stealing all his good underwear, and he had mentioned wanting to get started on photo albums. Gifts in this family weren't about one-upping each other. They were about paying attention, listening to the people around you and assessing their needs. There was no need to buy anything flashy that would sit in a corner gathering dust, not when you could buy something practical that would get used every single day. Steve stood, clutching his little bag and fighting off tears. Wayne went to hang his new coat in his closet, and Eddie winked at Steve. "Happy?" asked Eddie. Steve smiled. "More than ever," he said. Hey there, guys, girls, and non-binary pals. It is Ella, and I hope you're having a lovely day today. So it's a new fandom, finally bringing you some Stranger Things, some Steddie fics, because I ship these two so much. I just love it. I can't help myself. And I just read this fic and it was so cute. I love someone having their first kind of sentimental Christmas. It's so beautiful. Steve's learning the true meaning of Christmas. Hopefully you all liked it too. If you did, be sure to like the video, if you liked it, and to boost my serotonin levels. Be sure to leave comments down below. Let me know what you thought of the fic. Let me know how you're doing today. How's everyone been? And be sure to subscribe if you want to be notified whenever I make new videos, which at the moment is every day because it's Ficmas. Day 6, boys, we're killing it. Also, if you hadn't heard the news, I did make a Discord and it will be linked in the description if you want to join. We've already been having such a great time in there. Literally, I look forward to seeing the messages so much because I love just feeling like we have more of a community vibe and everyone can talk to each other. It's really fun. But until I see you again, be sure to practice some self-care. Yep, that's right. Drink your water. Go to bed on time. Brush your teeth. Don't skip breakfast. Listen, I tell you every day, and it's very important in the run-up to Christmas that you stay hydrated, that you're looking after yourself. It is. And I'll know if you didn't. Yes, this is a threat. I'll see you guys later.